Welcome back, everybody, to Paranormal, the New Normal. Yeah, I took a week off. Sorry, but it just happened that way, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. But I'm your host, as always, Jeremy, here once again to try to bring some normalcy to this world. Does it ever happen? Rarely, rarely. Will it happen tonight? Maybe slightly, maybe slightly. We'll see, we'll see. I always say that, and it never does, but we'll see. And as always, I am joined by a guest on this perilous quest. And my guest tonight, and let's see if I can do this without freaking it up. My guest tonight is Alicia Jean Demetropolis, an author, nonprofit leader, and so much more. But we're gonna get into all that in a few minutes. How you doing tonight, Alicia?
Doing great. I'm doing really good. It's good to be here, Jeremy.
Did I get it right? Did I get the last name right?
It yes, it qualifies. You didn't call me
Yes.
late for dinner, and that's all that's important.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't know how many times I'll ask beforehand and not get it right when I go live. It's just it's the way things go, Murphy's Law. But
it's okay.
I am glad to have you here. And folks, we've actually been trying to get this interview going since I think July-ish. So we finally get to talk and dig into Alicia and what she brings in this world, which brings me to my first question, as always. What brought you down the path of spirituality that you now walk? Because you do walk a path of spirituality from what I've read.
Well, it that's really interesting because I was apologies to your audience. I'm trying to get away from the sun that's behind me, and I this is not a good choice. There we go, much better. So I was raised devout Greek Orthodox Christian. And honestly, I think I was proselytizing by the time I was 12 and evangelizing. Um, and high school came along and I started to go to other churches and I'd always been a little disappointed in our church and the attitude that we do it better than the other Christian religions. We
I
do
can
it
relate to that.
right. I'm sorry, I thought we were all Christian. No, 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 we do it right. Everybody else is wrong. Then I got to college and I took a course on the history of religion, and that opened up my eyes a lot. Um, but I'd really begun to explore Buddhism, especially, and Taoism, probably when I was in high school. I did a lot of Zen Buddhist reading and studying, and I started on that path probably in my mid teens, early teens. And after college, the whole organized religion thing just disappointed me. That fell away. And the one thing that's really stayed with me is Buddhism and the study of all religions and the exploration of all religions and how we have so much in common. And as I say in the book, I quote a woman that I met in Nepal. God came to us several times and gave us several ways to reach him. And instead, we use it to kill each other. So for me to look at the commonality around the religions and the core good of each of these religions has really been one of my biggest journeys in this world.
I see right there. It's kind of funny how much we have in common. I mean, I was raised Protestant Christian, and same as you in college, I took a Eastern religion class, and it kind of opened my eyes to
Yeah,
other things. I mean, I was already disillusioned with Western religion before that, but
yeah.
I was an atheist for a long time in high school and college. But taking this class in college, and God, my fourth or fifth year of college, because I couldn't decide what I wanted to be when I grew up. Still don't know, but I I took this class, and teacher was an older Asian man, and it was a brilliant class. I learned so much about other religions that it opened my eyes. And I mean, I can't say I practice any of them. I don't. I'm kind of agnostic now. I don't really practice anything. I practice spiritualness. I'll say that. I practice spiritualness. I believe in manifestation and other things we may get into later in this conversation. But I practice those type of things, and I've always been interested by Buddhism though, because well, one, Buddha kind of I always kind of look like Buddha, so it always interested me a little bit. I was always the pot-bellied youth, but I I don't know. I like the idea of karma. I like the idea of dharma. I love all that. It makes sense to me. It makes more sense to me than Western religions ever did. Like, oh, there's this one guy, and you gotta, give everything to him. You gotta give
Right,
10, 15% of your paycheck to him every year. Like, no, no, I hate
right,
it. I have a thing against organized religion, as my listeners damn well know. I have such a thing
right,
against organized religion.
right.
I don't, I don't think you need to go to a church. I don't think you need to go to a cathedral, a synagogue, a temple, or anything to really practice religion. I think you practice it wherever you want to practice it. And as long as you're reaching out to somebody, I mean, as we were talking about before we went live, you could even reach out to Zeus, and I wouldn't hate on you for it because, I mean, be careful what you wish for. It's Zeus. But that's all I will say.
You
Be
gotta
careful what
be
you wish for.
careful. Remember who you're dealing with, it's Zeus. Yeah.
Exactly. Zeus is not exactly the most gentleman of gentlemen. But we'll leave it at that for now. But I've gotten him a lot worse than that in this show, so I'm not going to go into him again. But but I but yeah, I mean Zeus is Zeus. But I mean I do I mean I love religion in the fact that you can practice it anywhere. And if I'm having a hard day, I may pray to whoever I hell I think of at that moment. It may be Buddha. It may be Muhammad, for God's sake. Who knows? I mean, it's going to be whoever I happen to come in the name of first. It may be Zeus. It may be Ares. I mean, if I'm having a bad day, it may be damn straight, maybe Ares. But it's just, it goes where it goes. So, where did Buddhism take you? That's because I personally know kind of where it took you, but I'm dying to hear some details.
Well, it that's a really interesting question. My brain is having trouble processing that. Exactly where did Buddhism take me? It really took me more inside myself. Um, let's see, how do I explain this? So I was involved in a sangha, a Buddhist congregation, for lack of a better word. We call it a sangha, Sanghha. I was involved with one here in Seattle for a while, and um, I never joined up. I took courses and I did retreats and I did studies, and I ended up taking my refuge vows as a Buddhist through this sangha. But I remember, here we go again, being disillusioned. I was talking to someone about really wanted to go to Nepal at the time. And I had the chance to go through a Buddhist organization. And I was talking to a woman at the Sangha, and she said, well, that all depends on what lineage it is. And I said, what does it matter what lineage it is? Well, we have all kinds of teachings, we have all kinds of beliefs. And I thought, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. Um, for me, it was more about shedding this exterior that I'd put up through the years to protect myself, and cracking through that exterior and getting down to who I who I am, and acknowledging who I am. And more every year. I'm 59. I'm going to be 59 in a few months. I'm still pushing myself towards that. I'm still striving to become more of myself, more of who I am, more true to myself, to my own voice, to my own spirit, my own beliefs. And I really don't think I would have gotten to this point. I would have gotten everything done that I've been doing last 7, 8 years. I wouldn't have gotten through half the challenges in my life without that basic test is that we create our own suffering. And if we can create our own suffering, then we can find our way out of suffering and we can live in the present and we can be here and we can be focused on now. And we are not going to worry about what we think might happen tomorrow. We're not going to spend energy on it. I
Exactly.
don't think I could have gotten to any of these and done any of this or gotten to anything without having that core that Jeremy, as well as I do, that core, that inner core to fall back on time and time again. So that's really where it's taken me. It's taken me more inside myself and allowed me to be more of who I am.
Well, I love that. I mean, number one, you just literally gave me the episode title for when I release this in podcast form. But I agree 100%. I have lived by this way for God the past decade, if not longer. Like I don't worry about, as a famous sitcom once said, that's a problem for future Jeremy. That's not a problem for present Jeremy. Future Jeremy will figure out a way through that problem. Present Jeremy's just going to enjoy what he's doing right now. And
Hmm.
whenever it comes to the future, we'll find a way out of it. We always do. I mean, call it luck, call it good karma. Like something always comes my way, and I always find my way out of any trouble I may be in financially or otherwise. But so I love that. I love that. Like we make our own suffering, so let's make our own way out of it. I love that. I freaking that's perfect. That's that's exactly that should be everybody's motto. Like all these people that are pragmatists and just think every day is horrible, think every day is, oh, I can't get out of this mess. You can. It's called one, put
Again.
your mind to it. And two, manifestation exists. Learn to use it.
And that's so old, Jeremy. I mean, that when we talk about religion, we talk about organized religion, we're talking about relatively new belief systems and structures. When we talk about manifestation, when we talk about energy, when we talk about these these they're not even spiritual beliefs, they're just things that people have known to go back 5,000 years, 6,000 years. The idea of this energy, the idea of manifesting, the idea of the body being an electrical system and attracting and all of that you and I touched on even before we started recording, that goes back way older than any of these organized religions. So I
Exactly.
kind of think that they knew what they were doing and they were more in tune with the earth and they were more in tune with each other almost and they were in tune with nature. And did you have to
Exactly. I
clap? Do you
mean,
have the clapper to turn your lights back
no
on?
motion sensor, not clapper. I kind of wish it was a clapper. It'd be a lot easier sometimes. Sometimes I'm out here waving my arm like a freaking inflatable, blowing, waving arm man, and nothing happens. But and and actually, that's why I do it at 9 o'clock at night. Because if I do podcasts during the day, like on weekend mornings, the sun is right behind me, and I can't get out of it. There's no getting
Yeah,
out of it.
this was
I
not
don't
the
have.
right room to be in. I forgot, this time of year, the sun is going to set right behind my face, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, yeah.
But and you're right. I mean, if you look at Native American culture, I mean, their rain dances and everything, they were so in tune with nature. I mean, I respect the heck out of Native American culture because and Native everywhere culture really because they were able to survive in an environment that humans today would perish and die in a second because we wouldn't be able to even fathom it. We would not. And I don't care how much you like camping, how much you like roughing it. You wouldn't be able to fathom what they went through. You really wouldn't.
No,
Like nobody would. It's just I'm sure I don't even realize how bad it was, but they got through it and they found ways and they communicated with nature. I mean, I hate to use this as an example and bring it up already, but screw it. Um, I mean, look at the Native Americans and how every tribe had different stories about our good furry friend Bigfoot.
Yeah,
And I mean, they communicated with nature. They weren't
yeah.
scared of these big hairy creatures like a lot of us are. They would just communicate with it. It was a hairy man from the mountains. That's all it was. A hairy human being from the mountains that either was going to trade with or was going to come down and steal our livestock and women. I mean, you get what you
Not
get.
the women.
But
They never wanted the women. And that's interesting because they have that same story in other cultures in other parts of the world. And there's no way anyone was sharing these stories all those years ago. There's no way they were people in Central Asia were telling the stories to the Native Americans, and that's how they got their idea for Bigfoot. And then there's it's someone else, I think, in Central America or South America. South America,
yep.
there's another culture there. These cultures are all over the world that believe these stories, that have this history, that's this verbal history that comes down through the years, and they've all kind of spontaneously were created or spontaneously discussed
With
at the same time in
similarities.
history.
With
Exactly.
similarities too. And I mean, yeah. And yeah, it's rumored maybe Native Americans did cross oceans at one, or Native from any culture may have crossed oceans at some point or another. It's rumored that even in their longboats they were able to cross oceans. I there hasn't exactly been proof enough for me to believe that yet fully. I mean, I still fully believe the Vikings were the first ones to truly cross the oceans, but it's possible, I guess. I mean, who am I to say it's not? I mean, the Bering Sea Bridge in Alaska, Russia was there, so they could have crossed there and kind of talked, I guess. But I don't know how much faith I put in that either. So, I mean, the fact that there are these stories of, and it's funny because I've had a sadhu on, I've had a sifu on, I've had a lot of different people in the Buddhist beliefs in on the show because I Buddhism is one of my hot topics, and it's the sad. Who it was Yeah, it was the Sadhu, I believe, because the Sifu came later on recommendation from the Sadhu. I feel like I'm reading a kid's book saying these names, I swear to God. But yeah, it was Sadhu Da. He's a forest shaman. And he told me a story of um, a fellow Buddhist like him he met that was in Nepal and fell through what he called a fissure or a crack in the Himalayas. And he went to this, basically, he woke up in this tropical jungle like land and lost track of time. And by the time he came out, they thought he was dead for like 6 months.
Wow.
So that right there says it all to me. I mean, and yes, it's been highly hypothesized that these hairy creatures are ultra terrestrial, which means they're multidimensional. And but that right there, that's proof of it to me. That's proof because maybe he fell through a dimension rift or something. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things in the Himalayas we don't know about. So who could tell? Who could tell besides
Yeah.
him? And hello, Pam. Thank you for watching. Always glad
Hi,
to have you
Pam.
here. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing the stories that are all over this earth from different cultures, and they're all similar. I mean, it's not just Bigfoot. Even there's other ones as well. But the idea of God, like we were talking about before the show started too. The idea of gods. I mean, yes, they may have given them different names, but all these gods are basically similar. I mean, Zeus and Odin are similar. Zeus did worse things than Odin did by far, but they're similar and
Yeah.
they're both all fathers, so they're both similar in their own mythology rights, and they both kind of follow the same path in a way. Different creatures because different parts of the world, but other than that, like there was always gods in every part of the world. Japan, South America, there's always been gods. Like, and it's why why would there be that if there wasn't some similarity between these cultures that they all experience the same things? Which
Yeah. And it's
which leads me
interesting you
to
should talk about that. Yeah. It's
oh,
interesting you
go ahead.
should mention the the gods from all the different cultures. Um, I just came back from a month in Guatemala,
Ooh,
and I've always had a fascination with the Mayan culture. I think that's probably another one of my past lives. There's some work there that I need to do to close it out because I had some really, really interesting experiences. Never thought I'd have to go to Guatemala to close out unfinished business, but now apparently I have to go back. Um, but I met a young woman who's Mayan, and we're in her hometown of Santiago, Santiago Adatlan, which is on Lake Adatlan. And she was talking about how the Spanish came and conquered their villages. And they
yeah.
kind of came through and started wiping out the Aztecs and the Maya. Really, all they wanted was the gold. But we'll use it as an excuse to convert these
Oh yeah.
savages into Christianity. And I remember Jeremy, I got there. We were walking up the boat, up from the boat, up the main drag, up the hill, and we got to what is now a church. And I got into this square, and I'm really annoyed that they tore down the temple. I'm like, okay, Leash, where's that coming from? They tore down the temple and built a freaking church. Um,
Uh,
and I was like really annoyed even before she started talking, before she started telling the story. I had a chance to pull her aside at one point. This was our guide. She was a young woman. She was Mayan. She speaks two Mayan languages and
uh,
Spanish and English. And I asked her, I said, when you go into that church, what do you feel? What does it mean to you? And she said, I feel my ancestors. I feel those who have gone before me. And her English wasn't very fluent, but boy, she nailed the concept when she was talking to me. And she said, interesting. I've tried to communicate with other Mayan experts and they won't email me back because she then said that basically the West got it wrong and the Spanish got it wrong. The Mayan religion is the religion of the world, for the world, and of the stars. And there's only one God.
ooh.
They only believe in one God. They don't,
Interesting, because that's
we have interpreted their honoring of the rain and the fire and all of the earth elements, all of the natural elements. We have interpreted that and given them the word God, the rain God, the fire God. And when you talk to some Native Americans, they will say the same thing. I don't believe this is an actual God. I don't believe there is an actual God of fire.
yeah.
But we respect and we honor and we cherish the power of fire on this earth, and that comes from the sky in the form of a lightning bolt. So it's interesting how Westerners have twisted what apparently these old, ancient, original belief systems were set upon. I'm really having trouble finding my words tonight, but you get the gist. I mean, we
Wait a
really
minute.
seem to have gotten it screwed up.
You're telling me
Hmm.
Westerners took something and changed it? No. But
I know. It's a really controversial subject too, because people don't want to believe me. Yeah, yeah. Westerners took something, and I think you'd agree with this, something really beautiful, and twisted it into something ugly and almost barbaric in order to serve their own purpose, which is to
I mean,
convert everybody to
I
Christianity.
mean, which don't know. That's which is one of the biggest freaking things that pisses me off about history altogether is religion trying to conquer the world. But I mean, and they all wondered why the Vikings burnt their monasteries to the ground. Come on, come on. You gotta try to tell them that freaking Thor and Odin don't exist, and then you expect to actually have a monastery when you go back there the next day? Come on,
I know.
you're out of your
Right.
mind. You're out of
Right.
your mind. But I mean, that's interesting because I mean, the Mayans and the Aztec, it's always been highly hypothesized. I mean, ever since Chariots of Fire, that their gods were extraterrestrials, same as Egyptians and possibly even Norse and Greek too. But we don't really, they really don't go into those too much on those, at least those European ones. They tend to stick more with the African, South American ones that they were, extraterrestrials coming down and helping them build these temples, these pyramids, and all these different structures that we can't even begin to imagine how humans could have built. Which tells you something, because in this day and age, if we can't figure out how something's built in this day and age, it's kind of sad. Like it's kind of
Like,
sad.
we're just not giving them enough credit. I mean, it's like we woke up one morning, it's like being a child. And you woke up and nothing your parents ever did before you were born, before you were walking and talking, before you were an intelligent being. And that didn't matter. Nothing ever existed back then. It's kind of the same thing. For Westerners to just assume that they didn't have the capacity to think through massive, intricate, multi-generational construction projects, that they didn't have the capacity. They weren't smart. We invented the industrial age and ruining the planet, and we've got plastics everywhere. They couldn't possibly be as smart. Well, maybe they were smarter.
I mean, I could believe it. I could believe that ancient cultures were maybe more intelligent than us. I can highly believe it because I mean, look at Socrates, look at Plato, look at all these different philosophers who were brilliant, brilliant, ahead of their time. Honestly, could have been extraterrestrials from the future. Who the hell knows? I mean, it's possible, but they were ahead of their times. They were really ahead of their times, and I could see it. I mean, yeah, the pyramids may have been built by, you know, putting the bricks on logs and rolling them up. But yeah, it's possible, I guess. I have kind of a hard time seeing them doing that for hundreds of years, but I mean, that's me personally. Maybe, I mean, back then you really had nothing else to do, so maybe you're just slaving away until you die. I don't know, but it's just,
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, as a paranormal podcaster, I would be remiss to not think that extraterrestrials played some part in ancient culture because I've been told by so many people who talk to extraterrestrials on a regular basis, psychics, mediums, what have you, that they will tell stories about how they helped humanity start up and how they helped humanity build. So, I mean, is every ancient culture being helped? Maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, I'm not saying all of them had to be, but Europeans definitely were. Europeans definitely were. That's kind of almost been proven to me. So, I mean, Palladians, you gotta love the Palladians, but they like us. No,
So I have a question then. If the aliens were helping all of these previous cultures, um, when did they stop helping humans? I mean, was it the industrial age? Was it
um,
when we just got dangerous, too dangerous to interact with? I
there
could see that.
there are okay, actually, there are three possibilities I could think of immediately for when they stopped helping us. I've heard all these, and they all kind of make sense to some degree. The first one is the Great Flood, something that spans all mythology across the world. The Great Flood. I
Hmm.
mean, from what I've been told, and kind of makes sense to me at least a little bit. Um, the extraterrestrials took all the humans who wanted to listen to a bunker below ground. This is where Hollow Earth theory comes in a little bit. But all the humans who didn't want to listen got left above, and big flood. Bye bye. But and eventually, the ones underneath the ground emerged, and that's what we are products of. Is that half of that portion of humanity that want to survive, and we're smart enough to listen. Option B, option B is they, and this has been talked about a lot. As much as there were extraterrestrials who wanted to help us. There are extraterrestrials who wanted to control us and who wanted to exterminate us because they saw us as dangerous. So, in a war between the two different extraterrestrial species or multiple species, they just kind of killed themselves out or left Earth after a huge war. That's been prophesized. That's kind of been not prophesized, but kind of passed down as well to some people. And the final option is who said they stopped?
Oh,
Who's who's saying Albert Einstein wasn't a freaking or Tesla wasn't a freaking extraterrestrial? I mean, I mean,
oh my God.
it,
So smart.
I
Yeah.
mean exactly. I've had Tesla
Yeah.
experts on this show, and there's something off about that whole situation. There's something off there. I can't put my finger on it,
Yeah.
but Tesla could have set us ahead, God, 1,000 years more than we were now already, and yet he disappears. I wonder why.
Yeah. And it drives me crazy. Just a little side note, drives me absolutely crazy when people talk about Edison inventing the light bulb. I'm like, Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb. Tesla invented the light bulb. Thomas
Yep,
Edison stole it. But that's besides the point. There is a theory in some spiritual circles, actually, a lot of spiritual circles. And this is where we start to get into reincarnation, and we go back thousands and thousands of years. I just had this conversation with someone else. The the Vedic texts, which are the scriptures that Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and
yep,
the fourth religion, I can never remember, are all based on the Vedic texts. And the Vedic texts go back 5,000, at least 5,000 years. And they openly talk about how we go around again. There's nothing woo woo about, there's no reincarnation. There's no talking about it in hushed tones. This is just an accepted fact of life in these texts. People 6,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago knew we go around again.
yep.
So the belief in some circles is that there are enlightened souls, so to speak, who come through when the earth needs them. So Tesla may be one of them. And we can look at history and we can point to really great leaders, political or spiritual or otherwise. And these could be the same souls coming back again and again to spark invention or to heal disease or to lead people out of war or through war. Um, so yeah, Tesla could still be walking among us technically.
Which I mean, he could be. I mean, it's fun. It's funny. I was gonna bring reincarnation up at some point in this because I can't talk to a follower of Buddhism without talking about reincarnation. But it's funny because I read a book. I read a book series as I want to say middle school or maybe a little younger. But it basically was about how Einstein and other intelligent people were extraterrestrials in disguise, and that they had been leading us along since the beginning of time. Like it basically, what I mean, this doesn't form my theory for all this. It's just kind of ironic. I was reading these books as a kid, not even thinking I would be into this stuff when I got older. But
Yeah.
it just it's something I came across, and it just kind of, I mean, in that series, an extraterrestrial created television. So which I mean, one would say one could argue that they did that to make us stupid, but we digress. But that's a
Well,
matter of opinion.
we made ourselves stupid, Jeremy.
Well, yeah.
We could It's like the internet. Lots of people could use it for good and they're just not.
No, they're all trolls, and they all have to get their 2 cents in every second of every day and try to bring other people down because you got to feel like the big man or the top girl. It's just I I hate the internet. I mean, I'm at a crossroads because I hate it, but I wouldn't be able to do this without an internet. So I'm kind of like,
We're on the
I'm trying to use it
internet
for
now,
good.
by the way.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm trying to use it for good. I'm trying to use it for good. I used to be. I would never say I'm a troll. I was a troll, but I used to use it for less than good reasons in back in the day. But I matured. Now I try to spread messages across my podcast that are for good. But I mean, it's just I don't know. I mean, it's the history of humanity is highly debated in the paranormal field for many reasons, and whether it be extraterrestrials or cryptids or anything else, it's highly debated. And you're right, reincarnation is. I highly believe in reincarnation. I mean, it makes sense to me. It just makes sense. I mean, as Einstein said, energy can't be destroyed. It has to go somewhere. So,
Right.
I mean, I personally believe that there's like a DMV in the sky, and once you pass on, you go there and you kind of just wait for your ticket to be pulled again. But yeah, it always gets a laugh when I say that. But
Dude,
that's kind of why I
you've
see it
gotta
as.
see Chaos. You've gotta see Chaos. You've gotta get on Netflix and watch Chaos with Jeff. We were talking about this before the show. You're going to
I
love
shall.
this show.
I definitely will watch it now that you told me before we went on what it was about because anything to do with Greek mythology, I or any mythology, I am 100% down for. I just saw another freaking an animation coming, an animated series coming out called Twilight of the Gods, and I'm kind of like, ooh, what is this? It looks like it looks like Norse religion, and I'm kind of like, I'm interested in this now. If I get to see an animated show about Norse gods, I am totally down for that. Totally down for that. So,
Is that on
I mean,
Netflix?
yeah, it's coming out in the next week or two. I keep seeing the ad for it on the pause screen,
I gotta keep an eye out for it.
but I think I have a feeling it's about Ragnarok. I don't know why, but I just have a feeling because that's usually what they go to. But well, let me bring the topic here because you are kind of a expert on life after death in a way. So, what is your theory on what happens when we pass? Like, what's your theory?
Mm,
Since I told you mine.
um, I don't have any doubt in my mind that we go around again. Um, my preference would be not to go around again because I just think there's so much beauty in this world, but the humans are such a pain in the behind. Um, there's no doubt in my mind we go around again. That's just based on my own personal experience. I know when I talk to people who are approaching the end of their natural life, everyone has something different. When I say, what do you think happens after you die? Even the most diehard Christians, when they get close enough, they're not quite sure. And this is something they've bet their entire soul, this belief system is bet their entire soul on. And I'm like, well, you kind of can't lose because you were a good person. So if there's a hell, you're not going to hell. And if nothing happens and the lights shut out, you won't know. Um, I had one man tell me, he said, I don't know what happens when you die. He said, honestly, I don't think anything happens when you die. But strangely enough, the closer I get, the more excited I am to see what happens. I'm like, okay, so here he is. He doesn't believe anything happens. He doesn't know that anything happens, but really in his heart, he doesn't believe anything happens. And yet, he's getting more and more excited to see what happens when he goes.
Yeah.
Or I had another man tell me nothing happens when you die. The only thing that lives on after you die is what you teach others and what you give to others. And damn if that man wasn't right. He
Oh
taught me
yeah,
how to
there's truth to that.
he taught me how to play bridge. I mean, of all things, and bridge just opened up a whole new world for me. Um, so yeah, everybody has their own theories. And this isn't based on anything I've seen at the time of death. It's based on my own personal experience, my own memories that I had since childhood that aren't in English. And there's no question in my mind we go around it again. And being Greek Orthodox, I couldn't reconcile that with the church's teachings, which was telling me that I'm evil and going to hell if I believe in reincarnation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Western religion for you.
there it is. So, I mean, that's what I think. I don't doubt for a minute we go around again. Exactly what happens between now and then, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
where
I
we
mean,
go. Maybe we go to Cabo, we go someplace warm, or we go hiking, and I don't know.
I've been told by a lot of people that who deal with spirits and ghosts that we kind of our beliefs play a big part in what happens after because our minds are even in spirit form, our minds are still somewhat reminiscent of what we believed in life, and they kind of. If you believe you're going to hell, then God help you because you might be going somewhere that's similar. And it's just, I've also been told that hell doesn't exist, and I've also been told it exists. And I've heard so many contradicting stories that I don't know what to fully believe about heaven or hell or any of that. In my agnostic days, I didn't believe in any of it. I thought I was one of those people who said, like, yeah, after we die, it's just darkness. But in my, in my atheist days, in my agnostic days, I kind of question it, and I'm not gonna lie. If I didn't think if I said I didn't think about it every day at some point, it would be a lie because it kind of is like where will I go once I'm gone? Like it's once my body is no longer on this earth, what will happen to me? Will I just hang out around my loved ones and annoy them, or haunt some people who did me bad? I'm kind of hoping that part's true, but or will I go to this waiting room where we can come back as I've been told we can come back as humans, we can come back as animals, we can come back on another planet for God's sake, I've heard. So it's I've heard so many contradicting and similar things that I can't fully make up my mind on what I fully believe. I keep saying I'm gonna write a book one day, I keep saying, but it's coming, but I just don't know what to believe. Like it's just there are so many options of what could be. And yes, I've had people straight up tell me like my spirit guides tell me this, and I'm like, okay, that seems like it should be definitive proof, but what if that's just what they experienced? What if that's not what everybody experiences?
Exactly.
And it's I
Exactly.
don't
What
know.
if there is no, and what if there isn't one answer? What if there isn't just one answer? What if it is very unique to each person and what you accomplished on this earth and what, like, I run into people when I'm in Nepal, I run into people all the time that I've never seen before in this lifetime, but I know them. I walk
Hmm.
in and, you're walking down the street and you see someone, they're like, oh my God. We look at each other like, holy crap, how have you been? Never seen him before in my life, but we know each other. So, and there's no question in my mind. You meet someone, you have instant connection. There's no question in my mind. We've known each other from before, and then there are other people you have this instant connection, and your first thought is away from this person. Get away from this person now. Stay away from this person, and don't ever go near them again. Okay, all right.
Exactly.
Probably went around with that person before too, and you've got this memory somewhere inside that's going, yeah, nope, 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 nope,
Yeah,
stay away.
I've had that.
Um,
I've First day of school, you meet somebody in high school, and you could tell immediately, no, I don't trust this person. I get bad vibes from this person immediately. I feel
mhm,
like I feel like I know I should stay away from this person. I don't know why I know it, but I know it. And I've had that
mhm,
feeling multiple times. And some of my best friends in life, I feel like we went around multiple times together, maybe in different capacities. Maybe we were brothers, sisters in past lives. Maybe we were, oh, maybe we were lovers in past lives. Who the hell knows?
mhm,
Twin flames are a real thing, I think. So I think you are drawn to the same spirit in multiple lifetimes. I think you are drawn to them. Whether or not you end up with that spirit in every life, that's debatable. But you're definitely drawn to that spirit. And hell, that spirit could be a freaking celebrity in this lifetime, and you'll never get close to them. But you feel like you should be close to them. And I think that's where super fans come from. But
and right, exactly, and that's where super fans and stalkers and delusional fans come from.
yep,
No, no, she's my one true love. Me, she's my soulmate. Now, honey, she's not. You just think she is. Stay back.
I
You got
mean,
to restrain.
how
Yeah.
many of those you got to ask yourself how many of those cases are just mental health disorders, and how many are actually just twin flame circumstances that you can't control? And maybe next life they won't be famous and you'll get a chance. Maybe we'll see.
You're right.
Wait till the next life.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't know.
right.
But then again, I mean, the idea that Supernatural had at the end, that everybody gets their own personal afterlife, I kind of dug that. I kind of like that. That kind of I relate to that. I'm like, you know what? That would make sense if we all get our own personal afterlives, and maybe we come back again, and maybe we're just hanging out in our own personal afterlife until that happens. Maybe we get to do what we want to do for an unprecedented amount of time until we're called back again for some reason
Mhm.
or logic. Who the heck knows? I mean, it makes you think. Is there really a creator, or is it all just a universe type
Mm,
thing? Is it a universal
yeah.
type thing where the universe does what it wants?
I mean, there's got to be, for me, there's got to be a universal consciousness. There's got to
I
be,
agree.
I
I
mean,
mean,
when we, again, going back to energy can't be destroyed, it can only change form. And also going back to what is it, 28 grams? 23
yep,
grams, 28 grams when we die. Our body, nothing changes in our body, but immediately after they weigh people, they keep them in beds that are they have the scale in the
yep.
bed because they can't move them, so they just check their weight every day. Immediately after they die, they lose 28 grams. What was that? Everybody
Oh,
loses 28 grams. Yeah,
either
okay,
either either their spirit left, or or someone just stole an ounce of weed out of their pocket. Take your
right,
pick, but
right. It's,
it's. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, it's one or the other, and it's likely not the weed. But who knows?
un-
So
unfortunately,
and I'm thinking that there's a good possibility we go out there and everybody in so many spiritual circles we talk about, well, joining back with the source. We are part of the source, we are part of the creator, we are part of God. That this label that we've put on this universal consciousness, we just return to that source. It's like, what is that like? Right now we're individuals and we feel like we're disconnected from everybody else, and this is my world and that's your world, and this is my thinking, that's your thinking, and suddenly we're going to go out into this Borg cube or something where everybody shares a consciousness.
yeah.
I don't know what
I
it
don't.
is. It's
I
all very
mean,
interesting.
it is. It can leave you stumped for days trying to figure it out, and you're never gonna figure it out until you go. But
Mhm.
I mean, even if you talk spirits, you still know the answers 100%. Even people who talk spirits will tell you that they don't know the answers 100%. They just know what they're told. Which, as I
Right.
say, spirits can lie. Nothing stops them from lying or exaggerating. Or I mean, they were human once. Their mind still works similar. I mean, if they think it's funny, maybe they'll play a joke on you and tell you this, and then they're laughing with each other in the corner, like, guess what we got her believing? Yeah,
Oh,
but I mean, who knows? It'll drive you insane trying to figure it out, and you never will. I mean,
yeah.
maybe there is a omnipotent consciousness that's just up in space, literally just a ball of energy in space somewhere that kind of controls it all. And maybe we go back and be part of that.
Right. And there's an interesting phrase from the Buddha. This goes back to your Buddhism, our Buddhism.
Exactly. Oh, I think you froze up. Hey, mama.
Are
You there?
reloading. There we
Ah,
are.
there you
Hi.
go. Yeah, you froze up for a second
Um,
there.
yeah, sorry about that. We were reloading. So if you meet the Buddha on the street, kill the Buddha. And it means if you meet someone who says they have all the answers, they don't. That was his warning to everybody. And I believe that if you meet someone who communicates with the other side and they just have all the answers, the first thing I think is, no, no, you don't. You have your answers, but you don't have all the answers. And your answers, in some cases, are different from other people's answers. Here we go
Exactly.
back to organized religion. My God is better than your God.
Which we were all brought up believing in Western religion because, you know, the Protestants 100% look down on Catholics and say, "Oh, they're too strict. Our God's better. He's not as strict." Are we supposed to have the same God? I'm sorry. Like, and then I would get yelled at as a kid for questioning that. But it's just like, I'm like, isn't it all supposed to be the same God technically? Same Jesus, same Holy Spirit, all this similar stuff? Yeah. And this is why I get told to shut up in the backseat of the car. But like, it's just, I, I mean, but as someone who believes in that there's something out there at least, what do you say to someone who says someone like me when I was younger who said they never seen a sign that something is out there, that they say like, because I went for years with that, saying, well, with a scientific mindset, like I'll believe it when I see something. Well, let me tell you, to this day, I still haven't truly seen something, but I don't. That's not my belief anymore. Is I won't believe it till I see it because I know there's things out there I can't quite comprehend yet, and just because I don't see it doesn't mean it's not true. I mean, so what would you tell someone like that usually to get them to believe there's something out there at least?
I don't I don't think it's my job to get you to believe anything, but I think my question would be, you'll believe it when you see it? Well, what are you looking for?
Hmm.
I mean, okay, so I got two stories. I got a joke and I got a story for you. A
Ooh,
story about a community that was flooding, and a man standing on his porch while the water is rising. And neighborhood, the couple of neighbors come over in their truck and they say, come on, let's go. Neighborhood's flooding. We got to evacuate. And the old man says, that's okay. God will take care of me. And the waters continue rising, and he goes up to the second floor of the house. And next thing you know, a boat comes by. He's, hanging out the window on the second floor of the house, and boat comes by. And the people in the boat go, come on, we got to go. You're gonna lose your house. You're gonna lose everything. This water's gonna rise even more. You got to go. And the old man said, it's okay. God will take care of me. Next thing you know, he's up on the roof of the house. A helicopter comes over and bullhorn comes down. Guy drops out of the helicopter. He says, come on, we got to go. We got to evacuate you. Your house, you're going to lose your house any minute now. And the old man says, it's okay. God will take care of me. Floodwaters come up, wash the house away. He drowns. He goes to heaven. He gets to the pearly gates and he goes, what happened? You were supposed to take care of me. And God said, what the hell did you want? I sent you a truck, a boat, and a helicopter. So I think my question is, what are you looking for, man? You're like, I'm waiting for a sign. I'm waiting to see something. Well, you're not going to see anything if you don't know what you're looking for, number one.
exactly.
And then number two, why do you have to see something? Why do you have to believe anything? Everybody's got their stories. If someone doesn't want to believe anything, or if someone doesn't want to believe there's anything else out there, great, fine. To me, your life is a little empty, but to you, I'm living a delusion. All right. As long as we just do the live and let live, we're all good. And then my story for you is last year when I came home from Nepal, because your listeners, I actually run a global nonprofit and we work in Guatemala and Nepal. And last year was a really, really brutal trip in Nepal. I mean, every which way I could be challenged spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. I was just beaten down. And it was not easy. It was rough. And I came home and I was in a fog and I couldn't decide what I was supposed to do. Am I supposed to stay with the nonprofit or am I supposed to sell? Am I supposed to stick with it, find someone to help me because it's getting too big for one person, or do I sell out? And so I'm on my little bike trainer in the barn, pedaling away, watching Netflix. And I get to the end of my workout session and I said, all right, fine. And I make a deal with the universe or whatever's out there. And I said, okay, is 6:30 on Wednesday morning. So if I see elk, and we have herds of elk here, they go through our
Yeah.
pasture, they go through the neighbor's pasture. It's nothing unusual. They walk down the middle of the road at 10 o'clock at night. We don't see them every day, but we see them because they live here. We're in the mountains with them.
Yeah.
And so I said, if I see elk by the time I'm done with my workout Saturday morning, so you have 3 days. If I see, wow, my fingers are like red. What is that? If I see elk by the time I'm done with my workout Saturday morning, then I know I'm supposed to stick with it and find someone to help me run it and keep pushing forward. If I don't see elk by 6:30 Saturday morning, then I know that means I'm supposed to divest myself of the nonprofit, sell it, let someone else do something with it. And so, I'm looking for elk. Wednesday, Thursday, I'm looking for elk. Friday comes along, Friday morning, stop looking for elk because you're not going to find them when you're looking for them. And I thought, well, that's it. It was about noon, and I figured, well, I'm going to be asleep by 8:30, 9 o'clock. I doubt I'm going to see any elk this afternoon, so that's my sign. No elk. I'm supposed to divest myself of the nonprofit, and I came to peace with that. And then my husband comes into my office and says, "You want to run some errands with me? I got to run to the co-op for something." So yeah, sure. So we hop in my little Jeep and we drive into town and we go to the co-op and I pick up a couple things and he comes up to the counter and he turns around and he says, "Oh, wait, I want to get one more thing." Walks away for a minute, comes back and he says, "We have to find a way to slow the people down on the road outside." My vote, Jeremy, has always been to put a nail strip out when we know those guys are coming. I just want to roll the nail strip out and then have them run over the nail strip and run into a tree and then pull the nail strip out and go, "I don't know what happened." But my husband is not a fan of that kind of violence. And so he says, "I think this might help slow people down." And he takes one of those big diamond shaped yellow caution signs and he
Yep.
puts it on the counter and it says elk crossing with a cutout profile of an elk in the middle of it. And I'm like, "Oh, that's not funny. Oh, that's not funny." And I immediately start having this argument with whatever's up there with her. Someone said it's my higher self. Someone said it's Zener's. I don't care. I'm having this argument. I'm like, "That's not funny. I didn't know. I asked for live elk." "No, you asked to see elk." I'm like, "No, I pictured live elk in my head. I didn't picture a sign. This doesn't count." "Yes, it counts." Like, "No, you have 18 hours to produce live elk." And I hear this huge voice in the back of my head go, "No, you asked for an elk sign. Here is your elk sign." Shh. Literally an elk sign. Literally a sign
It's
with elk. So
universal sense of humor.
it's up at the end of the driveway now. Um, and so I'm still waiting. It's been a year. And every time I start to wonder, every time I just don't understand if I'm supposed to be waiting, I see another freaking elk sign. Like 6 months into this, driving home from wherever and I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. It's been 6 months. I'm not finding anyone. No one's stepping up to help me. I think I have to sell it. And I drive past my neighbors and they've put up an elk sign. I'm at someone else's house and it's been a year already. And I'm thinking, I don't even know what's going on here. I can't keep doing this. They tell me to go to the fridge to get something. I go to the fridge. They've got a magnet of an elk crossing sign. So it's like everywhere I turn, this is not a coincidence. If you believe it's a coincidence, then you're never going to see a sign, literal or otherwise. But this is 3 times in a freaking row. And I
See,
don't
that's
believe in coincidences. Hmm.
yeah, synchronicity is real. I don't believe in coincidence either. I mean, it's actually funny. I'm in the process of trading in a car I bought less than a year ago that has had three major issues, and I actually said to my cousin, like in the middle of the day on Saturday when I was in the middle of running all these errands to go do it, to go bring my old car back to the dealership, and I said to him, like, you know what? I would love to have a Subaru again. It would make me beyond happy to have a Subaru again because they're dependable. And the last one lasted me 10 years. The one before that got to like 300,000 miles before I sold it. Like they last forever. And lo and behold, I get to the dealership, and what's the one car they have available to trade in my car for? Because they're taking a
True.
loss, so they're not. It's a freaking Subaru Forester, 5 years old, exactly the same as the car I had that drowned in a freaking puddle last year, just 5 years newer. And I'm like, I said to my friend who was the dealer, I'm like, if that ain't a fucking sign, I swear to God, if synchronicities are real, I'm like, Jesus. I walked away. I was like, ah, I'm like, this was meant to happen. I'm like, this car was meant to be a piece of shit, and I was supposed to get this car instead. Like all the headaches from last year, all the money spent on it, it all is coming back to me getting a Subaru again. I'm just meant to drive these the rest of my life, I'm pretty sure. But
Don't you think
it's just
but don't you think you manifested that? I mean, you put it out there in the universe. You said you put that energy out there. You would love to have a Subaru again. You
yep.
put that out there with your heart, and the universe responded and said, "Okay, cool, I got one for you."
They did, and I mean, it's even got leather seats. I never had that. That's awesome. But it's 5 years newer. I'm like, than the one I had. I'm like, and I bought the last one new, and I'm like, this is a used one that's just 5 years newer. I'm like, eh. I'm like, you know what? That's pretty freaking amazing that happened because I could have got some crappy. I could have got another Nissan, or I could have got a Honda or something, and it just happened to be what I was kind of hoping for. And like I said in the beginning, I am 100% believer in manifestation. Like I have done it plenty of times when I don't have finances for something. I always say to my wife, "We'll figure out a way to get through it. We'll figure out
Yeah,
a way to get the funds. We'll figure out a way out to get the funds for this family court appearance we have to go to for the lawyer. We'll figure out a way to pay the mortgage this month." And somehow it always happens. I can't explain it, and I don't want to explain it. It's just meant to happen, and I'm gonna go with it. Like it's just the way life goes, and I don't know. It's it's scary in a way. It's scary because I have to be careful why I have to be careful to some degree what I wish for because I know if I wish for bad things, they're not going to happen because bad things don't. Usually, if you try to manifest bad things to other people, it doesn't happen because that's not the way the universe wants you to work. They want you to only care about yourself and look out for yourself first and foremost, and that's why they help you out with those type of things. But I mean, especially if you're looking out for your family, I think the universe really will come through for you. But
yeah.
if you take responsibility for others, whether it be your family or in your case, if you're running a nonprofit and you're looking out for others, something's gonna work out for you in the end, and you're gonna figure out a way to go with it. Which
Thanks.
it's just, I mean, I think if you're helping others, that's what the universe wants to happen, and that's magical. I mean, if you need a sign, folks, there freaking is. I mean, as as Bill Engvall would say, there's your sign. But it's just go. It's the way it works. But before we go, though, I do want to give you a chance to tell people a
Yeah.
little bit about your nonprofit and what you guys do, and tell people about your book.
Thank you. Um, yeah, so the book is called Drowning in Now: A Search for God and Humanity at the Top of the World. You can get it at Amazon. I would ask instead if you're really interested in this book and you want like the paperback book and not the ebook, please go to your local bookstore. Please, if you've never been in your local bookstore, now's the time to do it. Walk into your local, small, little community supported bookstore and ask them to order it for you. The only way our local bookstores are going to survive is if we support them. So please buy my book, but if you can, buy it at your local bookstore. Um, and the book really is surprisingly, Jeremy, it talks a lot about spirituality and God, and everything I encountered on my first trip to Nepal was a 3-month trip to Nepal, and everything I found, and basically it's the history of the nonprofit. I found that people, contrary to what we're taught and what we believe in this country, um, adult children in other countries are struggling under the weight of taking care of their parents, and many of them are abandoning their parents in their own homes, or dropping them at hospitals and leaving them, or just kicking them out of their own home. And I found that in Nepal, and I thought, that's just not right. That's just not the way the world is
Yeah,
supposed to work. And I don't know of any other nonprofit that is focused solely on food and housing for impoverished and homeless elders. And so I support an elder care home in Farping, Nepal. And I just got back from Guatemala. We were putting in an organic garden on the grounds at the elder care home in Esquipulas, Guatemala. And that's the story of all of it. The nonprofit is called the Global Humanity Initiative, looking for folks who want to help out, looking for donations anytime, looking for people who have expertise in nonprofit who want to jump in and give me some support. we have resources in this country, and in these smaller third world countries that have been screwed around with, I don't want to get into politics, that have been screwed around with through the years, they're just struggling. And the elders are the ones that are suffering. They're the ones that are going out to live in the streets, or they're being left in their own homes by their children and they can't take care of themselves. So that's my mission in life, is to take care of them.
And it's a really honorable cause because if you think about it, how many nonprofits are out there trying to help children? And when you literally found a class of human being that is being forgotten about in certain countries, and you found a way to help them, that's beyond honorable. That's saintliness almost. That's almost sainthood. So, in my mind, at least, in my eyes.
I'm not saint yet. Trust me, I'm trying to quit swearing, and yeah,
Eh,
but no, and there are a lot of good organizations out there who work with kids, and a lot of
yeah.
great organizations that do great work empowering women. But in the meantime, we have this huge demographic that's only going to keep growing based on UN statistics. By 2050, 85% of the world's population is going to be over the age of 65. I mean, we're going to need help. The governments can't do it all by themselves, and the kids aren't able to do it. And we're all living longer. And I mean, for me, this is my work. This is my passion. I found this 7 years ago. This is suddenly what I want to be when I grow up, and I believe that I believe we're going to be badly, badly needed year over year over year. We're going to find more need for what I do and for nonprofits like mine that are solely dedicated to this. And I want to be there for it.
And I'm humbled by it. I really am. It's just such a it really is an honorable cause. I mean, I can't say it enough.
Thank
It
you.
really is. I mean, I can't imagine. My mother is just hit over 65, and if she needs something, I'm there within a couple days because I'm not going to ever leave her just to wither away in her home and not have anything to eat, not have anything to. I mean, yeah, it's the United States, so the government helps a little bit, but it's pretty soon the United States is going to need the same thing because it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And I mean, I'm pretty sure, not to get into politics, but I'm pretty sure the freaking the DTA just cut her when she got on disability. The DTA just cut her food stamps down to $25 a month. How in the living, excuse me, but how in the
How are
living
you
fuck is
supposed to
someone
live on 25? No, no, it's not right.
It's not right. I mean, hell, my family's food stamps have gotten cut down to basically $25 per week per person, which is, I mean, it's more than she's getting, but it's still, I mean, the public assistance in America is getting sad, and it's not even really helping. It's basically giving you enough for a couple weeks, and after that, you're on your own for the rest of the month. And trying to find ways to survive is just getting tougher and tougher. I fear what my children will have to deal with in the future. I fear what I'll have to deal with in the future when I'm older. I really do.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's a sad, sad world we live in. And unless things change, it ain't gonna get any better. But you know, people, more and more people are embracing their spiritual side. More and more people are trying to help others, trying to give them ways out of things, trying to give them signs of what they should do. So, I mean, I have hope. I have hope that things will change in the next 20 years and things will get better. If that hope is ill-founded, then God help us all. But I have hope. I have to,
yeah,
because without
yeah,
hope, what do we have in this world? Literally nothing. So, and there's not enough good people like you out there to do these type of things. That's the problem with the world anymore. So there you go, folks.
thank you.
That's me stepping off my soapbox for tonight. But and Alicia, well, thank you for coming on. It's been a pure pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
I've had such a good conversation,
This was
and
fun.
where can people find your organization if they do want to lend a helping hand?
If you go interwebs, we are at globalhumanitynitiative.org. If you hit .com, it'll redirect you to .org anyway, but globalhumanitynitiative.org. And again, by the drowning in now, a search for God and humanity at the top of the world, because 15% of the proceeds will go into our elder care homes. And also, it's a good read. I'm sorry. I think it's a good read. My editor really, I had a really good editor. She really helped me get myself under control with the book. So,
Well, yeah, yeah, I can't, I can't imagine writing a book without someone to edit it. It would be the way my brain works. It would be a freaking ADD fueled nightmare. But folks, of course, that link will be right in the description for all you listeners. Just so if you want to go check it out, if you want to go help, just click on the link and go. Because if you have the extra, if you have the time or if you have the extra funds, please do something where they don't just hoard everything. We're not cons, for God's sakes. We don't need to hoard. But
oh, no,
thank you.
I don't hoard. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I me either. I mean, yeah, I meant the general public. The general public likes to hoard, but folks, I thank you for coming in to check out the show. I am happy to be back after a week, and I have a few more interviews lined up this week, so no worries. I ain't going anywhere. Well, at least not yet. Soon enough, though, there will be a hiatus, but I've already told you guys about that somewhat. I'll give you more details in the coming months. But thank you all for listening, and if you don't know where to find me by now, just God, shame. But check the outro; it's all there. And I will thank Alicia one more time before we get off tonight. Thank you. It's truly been enlightening.
Thank you. This was fun. This was really fun.
Have a good night, everybody.